I don't know what you're talking about, Webby. This is going to be a perfect port with a perfect amount of head. Yeah, I said it.
I don't know. Still out of 10. Too much. Oh, it's a boy. Oh, attaboy.
Welcome to AubyNAussie Talk Cross episode 2, the Rona.
All know what that means, unfortunately.
Again, we're just two dudes who like extreme sports, action sports, anything with an adrenaline rush. My name's TJ Albrecht. I'm from Minnesota, broadcasting from Minnesota.
Hey guys, Aussie Crasher, based in Brisbane, broadcasting from Brisbane at this point.
Again, just love action sports, but primarily ice cross downhill. You know, today, just kind of going over last season. Obviously, the big topic is Corona, Aussie. It's taken the world by storm, needless to say.
It did, and it did play a bit of a role in the season, actually, because it was all starting to kick off about midway through our season too. So that was always interesting, and that was it did, I guess, bring up some challenges for the season. But we're going to run through some of them and yeah, what it meant for the sport, and I guess hopefully what it means moving further.
I agree. Now, just to kind of recap last season, I know you had a bit of a tough season just with travel and everything else, but why don't you tell the viewers here and our audience kind of how you did last year?
Yeah, so last season for me was a bit of a short one, unfortunately. There was some personal health problems and some stuff going on at home, which just made getting to the events a bit harder. So, yeah, I only ended up doing 2 events, Montelak and then Yokohama, Japan, which were 2 of the most favorite freaking locations to go anyway. Yokohama, Japan is always a fantastic track, and I can't help always miss going to Duluth because all my buddies live in MN, and I stayed there for a little bit when I lived in Canada. So, yeah, it's always got a soft spot for me. But yeah, so I ended up doing not horribly, but not the best. Didn't have the best off season, so out of those 2 events, I managed to end up 110th, I believe, which isn't too bad for 2 races, I feel.
No, not at all. Not when we have close to about 400, 500 people per season that if you were to combine everybody trying out all the races, man, that's not bad at all.
It wasn't too bad considering it was going to be like a 12 race season. Like there were a lot of points in the table this year.
Exactly. And between all the different levels, the 100s, the 250s, the 500s, the 1,000 races, obviously with Russia being canceled, it was a crazy season. So, I mean, you have to take it with a grain of salt and move on to next season, right?
Well, for me, yes, but no, it wasn't crazy for all of us. You come out smashed, and it was some top, like 32 world ranking and 26 world championship. Like you had that season by the balls, buddy.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I had a fantastic season. I had a couple races that were personal bests for me. I ended up with a 32 overall world ranking. And just for the world championship last year, I ended up 26th overall. So definitely a jump. For me personally, I think my best finish overall was 12th, and I ended up getting that twice this season. So very pumped, but I'm hungry, and I'm only looking to improve.
It's the ginger power, man. Just keeps you going.
Hey, it's everyone's favorite ice cross ginger.
But the beard was gone. The beard is gone.
Ain't got nothing.
I actually haven't seen that man with a beard, but I reckon he could pull one off. Not gonna lie.
But he's French. Do they pull off good beards, or is it all like wispy?
One way to ask him, I guess. Let's get him on.
We should. You know what? He might be a guest for later.
We can definitely fit him in somewhere. So,
but yeah,
have you seen him in the change room? Come on.
Oh. It depends on the change room. Some of them, I mean, we're crammed into a trailer that should only be able to fit 50 people. And then in other ones, we have an entire conference
movie theater in Russia. An actual movie theater is the change room in Russia, in Agora, isn't it? I haven't been to that track yet because it's quite hard to get to Russia as an Aussie, but
Exactly. See, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but Russia's not exactly the easiest place to get to.
Oh, no.
But besides your ranking, my ranking, obviously we're looking to improve up next season. We're going to be training this summer.
Once things open up.
Obviously fingers crossed. Again, Corona just throwing curveballs into everything we do. But congrats to the champions for last year. In the junior division, we had Levi Nakari, some people call him. I don't know how Aussie wants to say it.
No, I'm not going to try that. That won't work for me at all.
There might be a little bit of controversy on that one. We will have a special guest, Jojo, on later. Aussie, I don't know if you want to touch on that one.
Yeah, so Jojo doesn't actually know we're going to get him on here yet, so it's a surprise, I guess. But you'll see. You'll hear about it. It was very interesting to see at the time, and it was just disappointing that I guess the season was cold before they could have a rematch, because that would have been really good to see him fight for the actual championship in the last race in Russia, especially on that track, that custom track that's like over a minute long. Like, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time on your feet.
It's going to be a beast.
But
again, that would have been a great test for both of them, and it would have determined a real champion, in my opinion. But
it is what it is.
Needless to say, it is what it is. Thanks. Congrats to Levi Nakari for winning the junior. For the women's division, we had Jacqueline Leger. I believe this is her second time, right? That's not back to back.
You're the one doing the research for this episode. This one's all on you. This is your notes.
Jacqueline, I'm sorry if I'm wrong.
Okay, here's how we do. We go. This is her second world championship. Stop. This is her third world championship, and then I'll just cut whichever one's correct. Easy done.
All right.
The joys of technology. Okay.
Huge congrats to you as well. I know
that is big.
That is big. I know Amanda Trunzo was hungry. She was working hard, which means that she's going to be working even harder this off season. So you're going to have to be prepared for next year.
And then the repeat customer in men again. Mr. Nas coming out smashing it. It was again interesting results because it was a tied point situation. So it was a tiebreaker for the men's world championship.
Again, just like Jacqueline, I could be right, I could be wrong. I think they were tied at 25-50 for points leading up to Russia.
That would have been one hell of a track to see a final on too, because that is so out of what we've skated on before. It's not a lot of downhill. The first half's quite downhill, and then I guess the second 500 plus meters is a lot of skating. So that's always, it's like your vascular, but with more skating.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Because like you mentioned, there's half the elevation. I know one of our fellow riders, Mirko, had the opportunity to participate on the track and get a chance to practice it. And he took a video, and his video was exhausting.
I was tired watching it, not gonna lie. Dude, as soon as I finished Japan, I was like, okay, next one's Russia. I got to get that cardio up, because if I don't have the legs under me for the end of that track, you're not getting close to that finish line.
No, not at all. I even thought about having the strategy of like taking it slow and steady out of the gate at first, and letting somebody tire themselves out, and then just
so you took
past them at the end.
You took my attempt. So I always go for the Bradbury. I always make sure I start slow, stay in fourth, and wait for everyone else to eat shit, and then I'll just sneak in for the W. Hasn't worked yet, but I'm hoping one day.
I believe that's like the tortoise and the hare race, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called the Bradbury.
All right, valid point.
Yeah, Australia's first Olympic gold medal. Let's go. Gold, yeah, that's right.
I do love that video. I do love that video.
I honestly reckon if that ever happened to me, I'd have that same look of disbelief crossing that finish line and be like, what the?
I'm going to have that look of disbelief regardless of the circumstances of how I got there. It's still going to be a, what?
Yeah, I don't see it happening for me at this point, but a boy can dream. A boy can dream.
If I've learned anything in this sport, anything can happen.
Stay on your feet.
Anything can happen. You're
Stay
faster on your
fast,
feet
don't
than you are
fall.
on your butt. Yep.
I don't know. I seen JoJo do that front flip off his butt before. That was pretty quick. That was pretty quick.
Dude, he is going to be one hell of a special guest. I can't wait to bring him on later.
I know he's the nicest kid. He's just so happy. I guess growing up at Woodward, you would be happy. You know, that would
True,
be.
true. And we can ask him all about that too, because that is one hell of a background. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I know that our season got cut short, but even in the short season we had, there were a few issues that did pop up, which happen every season actually. Some are bigger than others. Marseille last year before.
Yeah, which was more of a track maintenance issue, issue.
Still terrifying for the issues that they create. But then there's other things such as I know you were in Proloop, France, and you dealt with this as well. So you can go over what happened there.
Yeah, just this past season, Proloop, it was only January 9th, I want to say. So still pretty early on in the season. We should have cold conditions. It's up high in the mountains in France, so you'd think it would be perfect. It turned out to be that in, at least Fahrenheit, it was above 32. On the hill, the sun was beating down on the track, so it ended up beating up some of the features. So unfortunately, we had to take actually pieces of the sideboards that they had extra and lay them down on the track where the jump used to be. So that way, once you were going fast enough, once you hit that section, you just ride up a little bit of plexi, just like a step up, and carry on. And honestly, after racing that track and riding over it, felt just like ice, man. It was actually better than some of the ice we've experienced.
It's actually kind of funny because I remember for the Marseille, they actually brought in artificial ice, and all they could have used is just the boards they already had.
But you don't think of that. You don't think about that right away at all. And it's just kind of the way that either these Riders Cups or the people that build these ATSX tracks, it's the way they have to adapt and change weather conditions, and it truly is amazing.
Yeah, we've seen some incredibly warm days. I know in some of our races, Yokohama last year, we actually couldn't even skate Friday because it was like 24, 25 Celsius. So we actually ended up getting to practice Thursday night, and then we get told in the briefing, one practice run, qualifying runs, let's go. We're actually skating until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, which is fantastic for me because it's my time zone and that's kind of where I am. Bit of a night owl. I can't do morning qualies. I just don't wake up before midday. It's not good.
Oh my goodness. But you just have to roll with the punches essentially. We look at Kazakhstan last year, and it was not really weather related, but things happen between governments and organizations and companies and contracts. And unfortunately with Kazakhstan, I'm pretty sure just negotiations fell through. They couldn't get stuff planned in time. So that race had to be canceled. And that was really unfortunate because I was really looking forward to heading to that country. It's one that normally you wouldn't go to. It's not really on very many people's bucket lists, but it's one of those things that the sport brings to the table. It gives you an opportunity to travel to places that normal people just don't have the opportunity to.
No, I've never actually been to that country. I was very excited to get to explore it for once. But it is what it is, I guess. And then, another country I was looking to explore was Russia. But that one actually did get cancelled because of the situation in the world, which was fair enough because it is a big trip for a lot of people, and it wouldn't have been great, but that track would have been something. Although it is the world's first permanent track, so it will be there next year. I probably guarantee you that.
Yep, I kind of have a little bit of an inkling, maybe a rumor that it could possibly be. Again, don't quote me on this, but it might be the first race of next season.
All right, so everyone quote TJ on that. That it's going to be the first race the next season.
Hey, all I'm saying is you just need to get your legs ready because that track is going to be a beast. at least from watching Mirko's video, is a minute long. So at least for me, that means it's a minute and a half. Half speed, it's 2 minutes for you, bud.
Well,
You have to pick it up.
It's fantastic being the first race of the season because you're not injured, you're not hurt, you're probably like in the peak condition you're gonna be. Well, for everyone else, I'm still not ready to go. If I make it to the end of that track not in an ambulance, it'll be good. Not because I crashed, but because I just physically couldn't finish it.
Hey, I'll bring an extra inhaler for you. It's okay, bud.
That's right. If you can just like drag me down the track, it'd be so much better. The fun thing is, you can actually do it on inlines in the summer. So inlines are kind of my jam because that's what I grew up on. So I'm a lot happier and more confident on inlines than I am on ice skates, which means a huge thing when you kind of go on those speeds and doing that stupid stuff. So I'd love to rip it on inlines and see what I can do, and then on ice and see that. But inlines are definitely slow, so you'd have more grip on ice.
Yeah, I think, I mean, at least for our viewers, if you're obviously active on Instagram and stuff, you can check out a guy named Dmitry Merlichkin. He's got some great videos of the Patriot Park and him rollerblading on it, and it's quite an experience, I'll tell you that. That's for sure. I hope to someday have a chance or opportunity to be able to do it in the summer. But again, I'm still thinking it's going to be better in the winter. I would rather fall on ice.
I would much prefer to only go through that visa process once as well. I would not want to go twice because it was a mission and a half for me. So I know last year it was 3 Aussie juniors trying to get there for a qualifying race, and all of them got denied. All of them got denied, and I was not looking forward to trying to get this visa this year. And it came through on the same day they canceled the race, about 2 minutes after we got the email saying it had been cancelled. So, yeah, it was not a fun day, but shit happens, I guess.
That is just, I mean, literally, that's Russia. I mean, my visa hassle, I don't even want to get into it, honestly. It was, let's see, it was about a $580 process, which lasted about 10 days of nonstop stress. I was going through an organization to try to get an invitation letter. From there, I tried to get that invitation letter into a visa application with a visa company, which some information was wrong, some was right. I had to put down, every country you've been in for the last 10 years.
I know that was a long list.
Excuse me, Aussie Crasher. We've done ice cross. We travel for a living in the winter. I don't know about you, but it took me like 2.5 hours to figure out every country I've been in for the last 10 years.
Well, I've had travel jobs for the last 4 or 5 years, so it was a long list for me. I just had to go through the passport page by page, just note every single stamp, and it took hours. Oh, but saying that, travel is awesome and you should do it. But
exactly,
don't not do it just because you don't want to put it into a Russian form.
No. But I will be honest with you. Once it came through, once it was approved, I was happy. I was excited to go. Now, I have been to Russia before. I coached hockey camps over there for a couple of years, a while back in my prime. But now, like, to go through that process and have the race canceled was devastating, dude. And you obviously feel the same way.
Yeah, you didn't really get the chance to have that final, push of yourself and just know how hard you could go. But you also didn't get to have that final, goodbye to everyone, and because you don't see him for another year. It's all just... Yeah. It was a bit sad, but I know next season's coming.
Very true. Very true. Next season's coming. We have to stay optimistic about it, right?
Very true. And actually, I was going to say, from next season, there's going to be hopefully more races at all levels. So not just the 1000s, but the 500s, 250s, and 100s. But I guess something that probably a lot of people don't know is that everything from the 500s and below are actually all put on by the athletes themselves. So we design the tracks, build the tracks, maintain the tracks. So if you want to talk about the issue they had at Montelac for last year.
Yeah, that's right. Montelac, not only has that been probably our best option for having a track here in Minnesota for the last several years, but we've always had some sort of weather issue or something happen with the track. But like you mentioned, these Riders' Cups or the ATSX 500s are put on by the riders for the riders. So whether it's weather related or it has to do with organization or anything like that, it's still up to the riders to put the event on. So this past season, I mean, I was out racing in Pralou, France. The very next weekend, we were supposed to have an event back at Montulac, which is Superior, Wisconsin. And oh my goodness, thank you so much to to Ben, Rob,
Always killed
and
it.
Neil. You boys.
It was a fantastic track. I did fly halfway around the world for it, and I was not disappointed.
You boys absolutely killed it. You built a track in 7 days that not only was competitive, but it was fast. It was fun. We got some of the best footage ever. We had one of our riders, unfortunately, make one of the highlight reels of all time, Shane Renault, going through the boards. You can catch that clip on YouTube. But
Not the first time he's made highlight reels either.
he has been, we could say, around the world a couple times.
Wow, that's really harsh.
We love you, Shane. Again, cheers,
people know him,
brother.
Just people
we love
know
you.
him. But no, that was that track was actually very challenging for the amount of time they had to put it together. So, but I guess the big thing about that weekend for me was because I came from summer. You guys had a lot of snow that weekend. So I remember race day, getting up a couple hours early just to get onto the track so we could shovel a couple feet of snow off the whole thing, because there's no team to help you. It's literally just the athletes there, and if you want to get down the hill, you got to have a track to do it on. So everyone gets out there and gives a hand. So it's always fun.
Isn't it crazy? Like throughout one season, we can have, for instance, Pralou, where the weather is above freezing, where we have to literally add sideboards onto a track. And then you look at Montulac, where it snows all weekend to the point where we have to shovel the track for close to 2 hours before we can even get on. It goes to show the athletes, we're so passionate about what we do and about the sport and about growing it and putting on these events. I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Oh yeah, I am looking forward to see, like each year the athletes put on they learn a bit more about how to build a track. There has been some fantastic tracks that have gone down. One of my favorites was like Sarasalka, Finland. That track was so fast and just so well done, and just the jumps were built. You could scrub, you could send it to all hell, you'd land perfectly, and just it was a fast, challenging track. It was good. I would like to go back, but it was also very cold, and there was like 2 hours of daylight, so it wasn't, not really used to that one.
I was going to say, besides being on the track, off the track was pretty beautiful as well, being up there.
Oh, it was so pretty, so very pretty. But again, you'd get tired in like 3 o'clock in the afternoon because it feels like 10 p.m. But again, that's me coming from summer, so I don't really know anything about winter at that point.
No, very true, very true. But I mean, like that was like Saraselka or Edmonton or Japan. Like those are all past locations. Like I'm so curious to know where next year is gonna end up, right? Like there's talk of going back to Boston.
That'd be fantastic.
Dude, what a surreal experience that was being inside Fenway Park.
That was it. Yeah. I'd never been. I was lucky enough to actually get a bit of a private tour around the grounds there. So I got to go back behind the big green monster and sign my name back down there and see some of the signatures, and just everything is still there. It's like nothing gets swapped out. So that was a pretty cool experience.
Oh man, go back there would be, like you said, surreal, unbelievable. I would do it in a heartbeat. But we also have potential for that one company that's getting involved to put on the race out east as well, plus Montulac again. The sport is growing. Obviously, you got to be seeing growth on your end too.
Yeah, so I definitely have a few more Australians that are trying to get into it. I feel my goal before I ever leave Ice Cross would be to get a race in Australia, because no one's going to fly and watch me. So, and I'm not actually good enough to always get on the
fly to watch you.
I'm not always on the Red Bull TV stream / ever on the Red Bull TV stream. So the only way people can see me is through my own stuff, or they come to watch. So I've been lucky enough that I've had some fans actually fly from China to Japan last Yokohama. So not the last one, but the one before that, just to come watch, and that was really fantastic. See some people really passionate. They love the sport, so they would love the chance to come watch it close by, and yeah, gave them up close and got them right next to the track, and they loved it. You can't not love it. Japan has the most amazing fans. They're always so energetic and excited.
Do they literally make you feel like you're a rock star?
Yeah, yeah. I got nothing for that one.
You can't tell me when you pop off a track and someone walks by the gate there and you slap hands, you don't feel like a rock star.
I always high five everyone though. I'll just run around and high five everyone. or like if you see a bunch of people out there, you like quickly fill your helmet with Red Bulls and then run out and start handing them out to everyone because you got nothing else to do.
Free Red Bull, free Red Bull, free Red Bull.
You'd be amazed how many people won't take a Red Bull off you if you're in gear. They're like, "What the hell are you doing?" But you convince them. The easiest way to convince someone is like, "It's free," and it's done.
But to see the evolution of the tracks, from back then to going to Japan now, next season, obviously we don't know where the locations are going to be. We obviously see a couple rule changes, right? Like, what's a big one for us? We literally went from sliding out of control
over
to the last line. Yep, over the finish line to the last, I think it was 2 or 3 years. No, I think it was 2 years to being in control. You cannot slide. And now, again, next year, we go back to being able to slide. At least for me, I know when I was starting my first couple of years and being able to be out of control, I got messed up in a couple of races, and it messed with myself and my rankings a couple of times. I don't know if you ever got messed up with.
So I've unfortunately never actually been in control over a finish line. So I'm happy for this rule. Really happy. Can't wait. But again, you're saying like it can bring its own kind of issues, I guess. So in Yokohama this year, Nas got a nick on the wrist after him and Kyle slid in for what would have been a finish that was less than a foot apart.
Right.
So it does make some interesting racing, but obviously there are some risks associated with that. And I guess it's a difference between being able to make the right decision all the time and having questionable decisions and having a bit of consistency to just being, okay, it's just straight up first one over the line, not trying to get a second or third opinion on who is in control and what is in control, because everyone has a different skating style. So
yeah, exactly. And honestly, you have your pros and cons either way, right? Like if you have everybody stay in control, you may not get that competitive at the finish line rush that all the fans want to see. And I know, at least personally, in my opinion, I want that. I want first person across the line, regardless of how they get there. That makes the most exciting racing. Some fans may beg to differ. It's kind of like that opinion in fighting in hockey. I'm very old school. I think that fighting has a place in hockey. I feel that maybe not all the time, maybe not every game, but if you have someone who maybe hits your top point scorer, your top goal getter, he should pay. So obviously people are going to have their own opinions. The sport is unlike any other. And, I'm just excited to see where it goes in the future.
I am. I'm actually one of the rules changes that did happen this year. I'm kind of, I was excited and a little intrigued about is they actually removed the start gates. So I know in previous years, the start gates had issues because they're actually a spring-loaded mechanism. And as the temperatures changed over the night, the spring rates changed. So they have to go through and manually change them between rounds, because if they don't, the gates will actually open at different times. And there's been footage you can see of there's guys 1 or 2 strides outside the gate, and then there's a guy whose gate's still closed and hasn't released. And when you're in that start gate, you're just looking down. Nothing else matters, at least just you in that start gate. So you don't see if the other people's gates open first or whatnot. You're just watching yours, wait for that buzzer. And and sometimes it was just a disadvantage to people that really shouldn't have. So I'm kind of happy they got rid of it. I want to see if they do bring anything back like that, but it is pretty interesting trying to see the new start stars, because the new rule is as long as your toes are behind the line. So you can get your whole body out there if it's comfortable. You can sit back in the start box, whatever you like. So there's been a much broader range of start styles this year, I feel, which has really opened it up to some people that don't usually have good starts to come in and make their own.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. I think that over the last couple of years, having those start gates, a prime example was Marseille, where Cameron had to win his final round twice because the start gates opened so late. Not only is that the only instance, that was generally one that made a difference for the final, but that happened at every location for how many years. And honestly, to see no start gates makes it a little bit more even across the board. And you can honestly see that in the results this season. There are guys who generally were out of the gate later last 3 years that this year actually were getting out of the gate just as fast as someone else who always finished in front of them. So I'm a huge believer of it. I think that we should continue to do it without gates until they really have a foolproof system in place.
Yeah, definitely. But also, I feel the idea with no gates is kind of lighten a bit of a load on the production teams as well, because it's only a small team that actually work behind the scenes and really work, I guess, direct us athletes as well. Because it's not like we're always the most willing of people, or we get distracted pretty easily,
or the easiest to work with.
Yeah. Yeah, so like some of the production guys just absolutely kill, like Anel, Ollie, Pap. They're kind of the three main guys that we deal with directly for the sport. But then you also have the guys that kind of build the tracks. So like Hangman Productions, AST, Ice and Solar. Like some of those tracks they've built have just been something you'll never forget. And you're kind of always upset because you never get to ride it again.
It's truly a work of art, some of these tracks that those companies can come up with. It sounds cliche, we've heard it a lot, but at least for our sport, those guys are the heroes of our sport. Without them, you wouldn't see us racing down a track. I wouldn't be having the fun I have hooting and hollering down the track. Aussie Crasher wouldn't have the crashes he's had down the track.
Actually, yeah, I'd probably be a lot healthier now if I didn't have all those crashes. But hey, it is what it is. You live and you learn.
It is what it is. I mean, for like, I don't even know how to put it in perspective for some of the viewers, but for instance, like Boston at Fenway Park, one of the most iconic venues in all of sports history, but we had an opportunity to race there. Not only did we have an opportunity to race there, but this production team, literally, it took them 6 weeks to build the track, right? That is night and day. That's so many people involved for 6 weeks. That's
non-stop.
That's 60,000 feet of cooling line. That's absurd, right? Like, the track itself was 350 meters long, which is pretty average for ice cross tracks as far as they go.
A bit on the shorter side, a little bit on the shorter side, but
exactly anywhere from 350. I mean, Yavaskala was one of our longest ones. I think that was
670,
6 something, yeah. But I mean, again, Boston and that production team, it was 9,000 pieces of scaffolding that went into build that track. Here's another one, 107,000 feet of aluminum flooring just to protect the field. Like,
that's nuts.
The man hours that went into this is 35,000 man hours in 6 weeks. Well, hold on. I got one more. 124,000 gallons of water. That is not an easy feat to do. And we should really, really be thankful of all those guys that really put on those events for us.
Do you want to put that into some metric liters, or?
Oh, you know what? Being from the U.S., you might have to translate that on your page there, bud.
I was say, the amazing thing with Boston was actually this was the first time they actually made custom scaffolding bits for the curvatures of the track. So it used to be kind of a lot of just off the shelf, and you'd find a lot of jagged edges, I guess what you call it. If you're nice and smooth is what you want, but it's quite hard if you're just trying to stick a couple flat bits of wood and trying to make a curve. But yeah, that's when I believe they made some custom curvatures on the scaffold, and it was probably the smoothest track. The transitions were just out of control. Like you knew exactly where you're going to land, you knew exactly how it was going to feel. There was no surprises in it. You knew if you hit it right, you hit it right.
Well, I mean, again, thanks to Anna and Christian Papillon and Ollie, and they obviously work with engineers and scientists, and they're able to get those transitions down, and it made for one hell of an event. I know I want to go back. I have my fingers crossed that it goes back next season. I mean, Boston was one of the best experiences of my life, and I think back of just being down on the field, even after, being knocked out in the round of 32 and looking up and seeing fans in the stands, all, clapping the white lighted clap, whatever you want to call those things. But it was just so surreal.
The wall of noise. To go back. The wall of noise you skate into. It was so hard to hear what was happening on the track because all you heard, it's literally a wall of noise you skate into. And yeah, I kind of messed up on that one because I couldn't hear if the guy was behind me, but I was getting close to the line. I heard the noise start to pick up. I'm like, oh no, he must be on my tail. So I did the normal thing I did, and I ate it into the roller. Just make it a nice easy third for him.
Yeah. But hey, you have next season where you're not going to do that.
Oh no, falling's fun. Like if you got to have one good fall on a track, otherwise, you're not really trying. If you don't fall, see, my idea is if you're in control the entire way down and you're like, oh, that was so easy, you're not going fast enough. Straight up. If you're terrified at the end of that thing, that's how fast you should be going. Because then that's going to be the new normal. And then the next new terrifying is going to be even faster. Unless you come to the top guys and it's just effortless. And then, but you have to learn somewhere.
Yeah, I like to have a little bit more fun.
Oh, I'm always for the fun. Yeah. I should probably take this more seriously, actually, than I do. But yeah, like when it's go time, it's go time. When the helmet goes on and that 5-second warning call is done, it is just you and the track.
You think about, how we're friends off the track. Most of us, regardless of background or country, we travel together on more than one occasion. We party on more than one occasion. But you're right. You get on the track, you put that helmet on, you hear the 5-second warning. There's no friends out there.
Everyone's my friend, though, so I don't know.
Oh, you're just too nice. You're just
no. It's because I'm always at the back, so I can't get angry at anyone. I can't really tell anyone I'm going to beat them because I'm always fourth, so it doesn't matter.
It's going to be so bittersweet.
We'll change that. I got my first third, and it was the happiest day of my life. Like I actually passed someone on a track. Like I pulled my groin doing it, but it was the most amazing feeling. And yeah,
you passed someone in Lasar when it was me and Gabe.
I did, yeah. That's where I pulled my groin because he talked and like, I think I can get a couple strides in here, and I just pushed as hard as I could. But I didn't have core shorts on because I was like, oh, it's not going to be that. I'm not going to get dressed up for more than one race. I always get out the first one, so I didn't get completely dressed up and I hurt myself. Body Science make the best core shorts. Like they literally hold my stuff together. It's just because I'm getting old, I guess.
Well, you're going to have to use it for next season then, because it definitely helped you.
That was honestly the only time I haven't skated in those things for like 4 years. And it's the only time I hurt myself. I guess it just goes to show, because one of the things with ice cross is it's literally hurry up and wait. Like you'll get ready and you'll get warmed up and you'll get into the mindset to go for it. And then there's a delay. Or they tell you got an hour to get ready, and then 2 minutes later it's 10 minutes to get ready, and then you get dressed up, and then 3-hour delay. Like it's very much throwing you around, so you don't exactly know when to be ready to go, and that can that can cause some issues in your body.
And try timing that you need to wait, warm up, get ready, and go 100% with your pre-workout, with water and snacks throughout the day, because a lot of times we're at the track for 9 to 10 hours throughout the day. So there's no lunch, there's no breakfast a lot of times. It can get quite interesting, that's for sure.
It reminds me of Duluth. The season just gone. Kale, just who will actually be on the show next week. He took his pre-workout as they told us to get ready, and then 5 minutes later, Pap comes in and goes, "So guys, delay for an hour and a half because of timing issues." And all you hear in the back corner is just a fuck. And Kale just not happy at all.
Do you remember how he takes his pre-workout?
Yeah, just scoop to the mouth. It's the easiest way.
Scoopies, baby.
I do that too because I hate having to try to take a slash when it's like minus 20 and you got like 3 inches of gear on, and it's just really hard. So I drink as little as possible before I'm about to get and sit in gear for a couple of hours.
Oh my God. But yeah, Kale's the beauty. And you're right. He actually will be a special guest of ours. I believe it should be next episode. I think it should be
next episode. Right? Again, we haven't told him. So it'll be a surprise to him.
We love surprises. I said that at the beginning of the show. I'll say it again. We are going to surprise Kale. So we hope to see him for the episode 3 of AubyNAussie Talk Cross. We challenge you guys watching. Check us out. Social media. Obviously, that's a big platform nowadays. You can catch my Instagram, Auby1987. Twitter is Albrecht right there, last name with an extra T at the end, Albrecht T. Facebook, YouTube, TJ Albrecht. Aussie Crasher right there.
Yeah, me, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, just Aussie Crasher. It's nice and easy for us.
Once we really start getting rolling here, I just want to ask you guys to make sure to subscribe, follow us on YouTube channel, AubyNAussie. If you have questions, concerns, ideas for future episodes, drop us a line, AubyNAussie@gmail.com. Again, we're just two passionate individuals who like action sports, participate in ice cross downhill, and want to grow the sport. So really, your favorite ice cross ginger signing off, episode 2.
It's all downhill from here.
All downhill from here.
Let's go.